In this video, we're featuring our Women of Faith series. My guest today is Ms. Noor Sadah. She is an American convert to Islam, amazing lady with fabulous information to share with us today about her faith. Noor, welcome.
Welcome. Thanks very much, Siobhan. Appreciate it.
So excited about this. We're very interested in educating our audience, and I know there's a lot of misperceptions about Islam.
Too many.
But before we go directly into explaining the religion, just give us some highlights about your own personal story, how you came to the faith and where you were born.
I was born in Appleton, Wisconsin, and started singing and performing professionally when I was a child. Just always was singing, and worked my way up to studying classical music in college, and found myself in New York City eventually, where everybody goes, and was singing with New York City Opera and in their education department, and made my debut at Carnegie Hall. Sang with New York City choral artists, New York Philharmonic, and some solo work, some non-solo work, but in the city that never sleeps. So that was a big accomplishment and something I loved very, very much. My life, even my religion at that time was my music. And always liked learning about different people and was always a little bit connected to God, but in sort of that, in a vague way. You know, I worshiped God through my music and grew up as a Christian. And walked into a coffee shop run by, unbeknownst to me at the time, an Egyptian. I was always interested in getting to know other people and started talking to him. And I thought, oh, cool, the Pharaoh and pyramids, tell me. And we got talking, and he said he was a Muslim. And I was a little bit embarrassed to tell him I didn't know anything about Islam. And I had sung many times as a choral singer at churches, different kinds of and sects of Christianity, Judaism. And my friends were kind of dabbling in other theologies and isms like Buddhism and so forth. So I was on the sidelines viewing all this.
Sure.
And not really grasping one or another, but, believing in God. And I was fascinated, but embarrassed to tell him I didn't know anything about Islam. So he started to tell me, and I was fascinated because it wasn't at all what I expected.
You had some preconceived notions.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Like most Americans, you think it's perhaps a pagan deity, Allah is a pagan deity, and an Eastern religion which conjures up many gods. And it's the antithesis of that. It's the most monotheistic religion, and it's part of the Abrahamic trilogy, if you will, of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, where we all, Jews, Christians, and Muslims, look at Abraham as sort of the grand patriarch of our religion.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. And I'm your layperson, non-Muslim layperson. So talk to me in ways we can grasp. But let's first start with the basic tenets of your religion, of Islam.
Well, it's very monotheistic, as I said, probably the most monotheistic of all faith, in that the worship of one God. God is the creator and sustainer of the universe. And what drew me to Islam was the concept that it was one revelation from God, the same God. Everyone worships the same God. It was the same revelation passed down through pious men called prophets or messengers. And we have the same story of Adam and Eve, and Adam was close to God and knew everything about him, but subsequent generations fell away from God and from his original message. God would send a messenger to bring them back to the original revelation, to the original message of how to worship him. And this was passed along from Adam to Noah to Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and finally Muhammad. And this blows people away in America to hear this. Like, what? We have all this similarity. It seems so different. It seems
we
so
always
strange.
focus on the differences, don't we?
Yeah.
So, well, let's talk about those differences, or maybe more importantly, the misperceptions that Westerners have about Islam.
Well, the big perception is that we're terrorists. And I see where that's coming from because there's a lot of strife going on in the world and a lot of fighting. But if we look at actually the name Islam, and just a quick lesson in Arabic, Arabic words are made from a three-letter root verb. And you hear that sounds SLM if you listen to Islam, Salam, Muslim. You keep hearing this SLM combination. And it comes from the root word salama, which is peace or submission. As in submitting to God, you find peace. So the religion of Islam is submission to God and finding peace in that surrender. And then a Muslim, if you put mu in front of something, it becomes the person who does it or
who does the
is
practice
part of that.
of.
Yeah, so a Muslim, not a Muslim, or we have so many different pronunciations, but the most correct is Islam and Muslim.
Muslim, okay.
Yeah.